I started working with ICM in 2017, and it very quickly became my primary focus as I learned to paint beautiful images using camera movement. With ICM, I'm able to create images which are unique to my own individual artistic vision and creative expression. This is the scene from a sunset outing at one of my favorite local spots. I use very fast, sweeping movements with the camera to create abstract images of the landscape. In the background, you can see a line of water that is not reflecting, and that is what creates the effect seen here in this view on the back of the camera and in the resulting final image. I'm always looking for these kinds of nuances in any given scene because they add visual interest and create some uniquely abstract effects with ICM. Here, you can see that I'm making adjustments to the camera settings as I work with the scene. I always shoot in manual mode and make adjustments as part of my creative process and flow. Here, I'm composing the images with the fountain just above the 1/3 mark on the grid. Even though I don't generally worry too much about composition, and especially not about the rule of thirds, I do always keep the grid lines turned on so that I can use them as reference points while shooting. In this video, I'm basically shaking the camera, kind of a shuddery, juddery movement, while incorporating a bit of left or right movement as well. This shaking movement that I'm using here created some really interesting effects, and luckily that translated once I was able to look at the images on the computer and saw that I did indeed have some really unique and intriguing images. In this scene, I'm using my long lens, which is generally my go-to lens for my ICM work. But I do also find it quite beneficial to use a shorter, wider lens in an urban environment such as this. I also usually will shoot many frames with the camera both vertically oriented and horizontally oriented. Here I'm using my shorter lens, and I'm zooming the lens while I'm moving the camera at the same time. This can also create some really intriguing, ethereal, and whimsical effects. Trees are one of my favorite subjects to capture with ICM, and I'm always looking for new ways to create something unique and different with my tree ICM images. For this image, I used a sort of wavy, vertical movement to capture waves of light, curves of light, wrapping around the trees. This is what that camera movement looked like for creating this particular tree image. Sunsets are another favorite subject of mine, and I almost always do my sunset ICM work with some sort of water feature as part of the scene. In addition to shooting in manual mode with the camera, I also use manual focus with the lens, and for a scene like this, I set the focus to the infinity mark on the lens, and then I don't need to worry about interrupting my creative flow to think about focusing. Again, my movements are very fast, sweeping movements, and I'm always watching the back of the camera to see what's going on with the images, and I just play, experiment, have fun, and enjoy the creative process while immersed in the natural world. Getting into a rhythm with my movements and seeing the streams of energy that show up on the back of the camera really enables me to connect more fully to the natural world, as everything flows together to reveal the interconnectedness of all things. ICM really does enable me to communicate my artistic vision and to express my inner creative spirit in my own unique way.